Welcome back now. Reform UK Chairman Richard Tice called it the immigration election, and Britain's small boats crisis has certainly dominated the campaign. So, what has each party had to say on this matter? Shall we have a little watch, remind ourselves?
What will you do with the illegal migrants that arrive to the UK? What will you do with them? You've had 3 weeks to think of an answer. What is it?
At the moment, they're not being processed. So they're sitting in hotels, which you are all paying for.
So when Keir Starmer says he's going to return people, is he going to sit down? Are you going to sit down with the Iranian Ayatollahs? Are you going to try and do a deal with the Taliban?
We will, set up a border security command to smash the gangs that are running the vile trade in the first place.
These boats are illegally taking off from France. They're vulnerable boats. And yes, the French Navy should be taking them straight back.
OK, so the question this round is going to be, who do you trust in immigration? Before I do that, can I just get a little show of hands from people in here? Do you think that illegal immigration is a big issue for you at this election? If you think yes, you just put your hand up. If illegal immigration is a big problem for you. So that's pretty much everyone, not everyone, OK. What about legal migration? Do you think the numbers of legal migration is too high? If you do, pop your hands up. OK, so there we go. We've got a few people there. Interesting. All right. So I'll come to you on the front row, Susan. I believe you've got a bit of a point and a question about the boat crossings. Is that right?
Well, I think there's too many of them in the hotels. Are they going to run out of hotels, and then where are they going to put them all?
OK. Well, let me bring you in on this, Luciana, because this is one of the big criticisms of Labour, which is allowing the 90,000 or so people who currently would not be allowed ever to claim asylum at the moment, the opportunity to claim asylum, and that potentially making us even more of a destination, an El Dorado for these people, also removing the Rwanda deterrent. Is Labour actually going to be any good at controlling our borders, do you think?
Well, absolutely. And we have this conversation in the week where we've seen the highest level of crossings across the Channel. The figures have gone up, they haven't gone down. We're also spending as a country around £8 million a day on people staying in those hotels. So it is a very serious issue. And the points that you just heard Keir Starmer make are some really important ones. Absolutely, we should be processing the applications. It's absurd and ridiculous as a country that we haven't, and that we have all these delays. The overwhelming majority of people that arrived on small boats last year have not seen their applications processed. And the people that are processing them have been debanded. So they are of a lower qualification or a kind of a lower banding within the civil service. That shouldn't have happened either. And absolutely, we should be doing everything as possible as a country to smash those criminal gangs, and that's what they are. They are criminal gangs that are bringing people over. What we've seen is a vanity project. This thing around Rwanda is only impacting and implementing for 300 people, when we should be doing everything possible to address these massive increased numbers, 40 times as many people that are coming on the small boats. And it's really important when Keir Starmer talks about creating a border security command. We don't have that at this moment in time. We are not using anti-terrorist powers in the way that Keir Starmer and the Labour Party have set out. I think that would make a really important difference, and also having a proper enforcement unit so we can return people. All of those things, I think, make a massive difference to the issues that we're discussing right now.
There's quite a lot there, all right, because yesterday the Migration Observatory came out and said that they do not think that Keir Starmer's plans to smash the gangs will work. There is also the issue that it's not in Labour's manifesto at the moment to have a returns agreement with the EU or negotiate that. So there are concerns there. I know that a lot of people as well got quite worried about the fact that Labour are planning on building 1.5 million new homes, I think, but will allow asylum seekers, people who have successfully claimed asylum, to take up that social housing stock as well. I mean, Suzanne, people are quite concerned about that.
Yeah, they are. You go to any local authority in the country and the housing waiting list is enormous. Everyone runs into thousands, even in some of the remotest areas of the country. And here we have a potential for asylum seekers who are seen to be jumping the queue, quote unquote. And people get very angry about that. Luciana, you say that Keir Starmer's put out these policies to, launch a border force command. Well, that's been tried before. It didn't work. This idea that he's going to crack down on the smuggling gangs. There are at least 500 operating around the world. You cannot... The smuggling gangs are not in Britain. They're not at the Channel. They're operating behind the scenes. It's very difficult to catch them. You've really got to stop people coming into the country and take away all the kind of pull factors, giving them benefits, giving them housing.
What benefits do they get?
Well, they get benefits by the very fact that we're spending £8 million a day feeding them, clothing them, putting them up in a hotel. You know, that's a massive benefit. And I would argue, and I think a lot of people argue, that if you have come here illegally on a small boat, you've paid a people trafficker at least £6,000 to get here, you're not an asylum seeker, you're not a genuine asylum seeker, you are in actual fact a criminal who is facilitating people trafficking. And that doesn't seem to come into Labour's perception.
I think Labour has been very, very clear that the root of this challenge, and I think we would agree, is those gangs. And I think there's so much more that we can and should be doing as a country that has not been done, particularly when we see this elevated, increased levels.
How is Keir Starmer going to actively stop people in Vietnam, for example, who are doing the trafficking?
Okay,
how are they going to...
That's where I think actually using our anti-terrorist legislation could make a difference in a way that we haven't and not using it at the moment. There's much that we can be doing actually having it. So I don't accept that because we've tried something before, that Labour Party hasn't tried something before, because Labour hasn't been in government for 14 years.
Do you think it's going to go down well with your voters if you start treating people who you say are asylum seekers as terrorists? And using anti-terrorism.
No, I said to smash the gangs. I'm talking about smashing the gangs. So I'm talking about targeting the very people that exploit people and charge them thousands of pounds to come. I'm not talking about the people who themselves are crossing. I'm talking about the people that exploit them, those criminal gangs.
Are they? They're willingly paying out that money. You're painting these people as victims, and I don't think they are victims. And I think that's why there's a huge disconnect here, and that's why people get so angry about the small business.
It's interesting because Keir Starmer does use some, I think, quite evasive language, Isiana, to describe people coming across today. He says, nobody but nobody should be making that journey. And there's two ways of looking at that, right? There's one way, which is that these people are illegal and they're breaking into Britain and they shouldn't be doing that. The other way, which is what I think he means, is that these people, these poor people, should not be crossing the English Channel. And I just don't know whether or not he takes it as seriously as maybe many people do.
Well, I think we can all agree that no one should be losing their life travelling across the Channel on an illegal, whichever kind of vessel it may be that's coming across the Channel, which is what is happening. There are people dying. I mean, that should concern us all, and that's certainly what I understand Keir Starmer's comments to mean.
All right, fair enough. George, just finally to you on this then. I mean, the fact is we are in a mess now when it comes to what's going on in the Channel, and that has happened under the Conservatives' watch.
Well, I think the thing is, what Keir Starmer has been talking about is basically trying things that have already been tried. So where we've been able to get return agreements, for instance, with Albania, we have. And we actually cut the crossings by about a third by returning people to Albania. Wherever we've been able to do that, we have. You know, setting up some unit in Whitehall that already exists and is just going to be badged and called something different, it's going to make no difference at all. It's just the sort of thing that's said in an election to give the impression of doing something when he actually plans to do nothing at all. And I don't know why you would get rid of the Rwanda policy. You know, it will be a deterrent. It's worth a try. It's worth a go. We've got that agreement. Let's try it. Let's not rule it out now, because a lot of countries have been successful in being able to deter migration by doing, you know, offshore processing. It's something that Australia looked at. Let's just give it a go. Let's not just rule it out without even trying it.
OK, all right. Could I just ask you very, very quickly on this? Which kind of argument there do you find it more compelling? Do you think Labour might have a better chance of sorting out the small boats crisis than the Conservatives, or reform? What do you think?
I think Rishi Sunak will sort it.
You think for you personally, he's got more chance? Fair enough. OK.